Morning guys. On today's video I just want to touch on the saga that is racing around the globe at lightning pace, which is the rapid gate issue with this very vehicle. Now before I start, I just want to make a point that this is by no means intended to slate anyone who's actually done any videos regarding this issue, like Lemon or the other gentleman, I can't remember his name, who was actually on fully charged. You probably know the one I'm talking about. I think they're called eco cars. Anyway, the point that, or the points I want to make regarding this issue, and it's threefold. The first one is to regard of the reasons why I think this is a non-starter, in my opinion, and that is the fact that a lot of us probably won't ever have this issue. Now the reason I'm coming up with this, which I'll come to my third point, which will be relevant in a little while. Just let me stop the car a second. So when I first looked into getting a 2018 Nissan Leaf, the thing that I was most interested in terms of saving money was the fact that you could actually home charge. So what I mean by that is that you're in control of your own costings. So for example, with the rapid chargers, you've got Shell Recharge, you've got Ecotricity chargers, and you've got some Polar chargers, and these are just in the UK. I don't know the ones around the world, obviously. But the point I'm making is that you are then dictated by those charging points. Some of them are free, obviously, and so are some within the Nissan dealer group, and subject to availability. But the point I'm making is that you are then pretty much going to be charged what those third parties want to charge you. Pretty much like what happens in the oil industry at the moment. The prices go up, down and sideways. So with your home charging, you can actually maximise your savings. So like I said at the launch event to a gentleman I was chatting to, I'm not personally interested on the infrastructure away from home. I've done my legwork in terms of exactly how many miles I was going to cover on a day-to-day basis over the period of nearly 5 months. It was about 4 months odd, and I basically zeroed it, and I do an average of about 105 miles a day, give or take, unless I do airport runs, which is when those rapid chargers would come into effect. If you're on a plan that you can actually get them, say the standard network charge across the UK, which is 14 pence. A lot of them are 30 pence or more. Anyway, so in terms of cost savings and not using the infrastructure away from home, I'm maximising my savings, which is obviously for me the most important factor of this vehicle. I know you can save on servicing and less brake pad use and discs and all the other bits within the vehicle, but that's one of the reasons I'm doing this long-term video blog, so I can actually do a cross comparison over many hundreds of thousands of miles compared to, say, an internal combustion engine to a BEV. But obviously that's going to come further down the line. So getting back to today regarding the costings. So the costings, I think, for me, are the most irrelevance of rapid gate. Most of us, especially taxi drivers and private car drivers, unless you've got access to your company's rapid chargers, which we haven't yet, and they're going to do a reduced rate. Don't know if that's possible. I don't know how the electronics work on a rapid charger. Because they're rapid charging, they use more electricity, and there's more things going on inside the pump, like you can hear them fans going. I don't know if it costs more. I don't know. I haven't got a clue. But the point I'm making is, unless you've actually got access to relatively cheap rapid chargers, and you're going to be doing a huge amount of miles, which is bringing me on to my second point, most of us won't break 140 miles a day. And if you do, you're only going to need to rapid charge once. So going by worst case scenario, I haven't done my winter test yet, but I was not on video anyway, but I actually done a test when it was -2 and it went up to, I think, +2 during my 9-hour shift, and I had the heating on predominantly most of the time. Obviously lights were on, and the heated rear screen and the heated steering wheel and the seats and such forth, and I basically got home. I had 95 miles on the clock, and I effectively had about 22% battery left, which I think was about 27 miles, give or take. So that'll give you an effective range of around 120 miles. Let's say worst case scenario 115 miles. So that's with everything on, which you wouldn't be doing in an internal combustion engine vehicle, because you'd turn the engine off. So it's a bit unfair, but let's just go worst case scenario 115 miles in this vehicle in really, really cold temperatures. And I'm not talking about beyond Norway, I'm just talking about within the UK. So say you have to rapid charge once a day. So you're going to have the home charger that you had overnight. You get your rapid charger when you're out on the road, which will boost you back up to say 120 miles. That's your first rapid charge of the day. So you've got 150 miles and another 120 miles, say in terms of winter usage, say 100. That gives you an effective range of 215 miles a day. I haven't done ever in 21 years over 200 miles in one shift around town, and that's when we were really busy years ago. Unless you've done an airport run, then you might go upwards of maybe 280. But again, that would require one more rapid charge. So you basically got one standard charge overnight and two during the day. That's giving you an effective range of over 300 miles. We're never going to get anywhere near that. Obviously, the domestic market I appreciate because of Dieselgate, Rapidgate. People are actually turning around and saying about, obviously, if you're doing longer runs like 300 or 400 miles. And Nissan actually provide within UK, I don't know about in the rest of the world, an internal combustion engine vehicle, which ain't environmentally correct, I believe. But they give you that option to actually use that vehicle for up to 14 calendar days. So you're kind of covered if you want to do your longer run. Say you're going to, say, I don't know, Scotland or wherever, Europe, yeah, and you're going to be doing 1,500 miles. You can get an internal combustion vehicle, you're covered. And if you do more than that, the savings you're going to make from this vehicle in a period of a year, go and hire a car. Hell, guys, you could even go and hire a Tesla Model X or S, which are available to be hired. They're expensive, but the savings you're going to make, if you're that worried about it, go and hire one of those vehicles for the odd occasions during the year. Now, moving on from the costings and the mileages that's involved, the next point, which should actually be relevant to the mileages that are actually involved in these vehicles that are actually being monitored, because one thing I'm not 100% sure about, I've seen it on the EV forums and stuff, but I don't know if Nissan actually collect all of the data from this vehicle, but I assume the fact that this vehicle's got GPS and its own SIM, because when I brought the vehicle home, when I done the EV Connect online, it come up with a subscription saying you got 3 years subscription. I don't know how much it's going to be outside the 3-year period, but the point I'm making is this vehicle has actually got its own SIM for obviously connecting for the charging points and other information on the infotainment centre. But if Nissan are actually taking data off these vehicles, and well, not these vehicles, so new, but the previous generation vehicles, so they've got a user base database of all of the uses that they actually use, like in terms of mileages and how many times they rapid charge. If they've collaborated all of that information and they've basically said, okay, 99%, or let's say 90% of the drivers, let's just stick for example within the UK, use X amount of rapid charges per year, they've probably looked at it and thought, why do we need thermal management control on this vehicle? Okay, I admit, if you're in a very, very hot country, say in Arizona in America, where it's very, very arid and very dry and very, very hot, you might actually need thermal management control. But for the majority of the markets, I think they probably looked at this data and actually thought, well, we don't actually necessarily need it, just for cost savings. I don't know, guys. I'm not. I'm just assuming. Maybe I'm wrong, but I've actually seen some of this data that's been collected. I don't know what they collect because I'm very, very new to it. So you'll have to excuse me. But like I say, so they were just the 3 points that I wanted to do as a counter to the rapid gate kind of scandal that's going around the world at the moment, and that's all I wanted to add basically. I can't ever foresee a problem with this vehicle with rapid chargers, and if Nissan actually do introduce active fans that they can mount on the vehicle somehow, don't know if they can do that, if they can retrofit that, or it's going to be a software update over the air. Again, I don't know. Fine, I haven't got a problem with that either. But anyway guys, that was just a relatively short explanation of the reasons why I think it's not going to be as relevant as a lot of people, some people are making out. And like I say, this is not intended to slant or have a go at anyone who's ever done any videos or stuff regarding the rapid gate. This is just my own personal take as a taxi driver or private hire driver within the UK. Anyway guys, I will speak to you guys soon. Bye for now.